Okay, we're going to run a manual operation. This is from the start. So first off, turn our machine on, push reset, zero the axis, you push the enter, so we'll find its home position. Continue for the next page. This arrow is continue. Pick our cycle, which is key 3 or the 3/4 box. Semi-automatic. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the lower limit to come down. The light turns green. The blade is beyond or below the actual material that's being cut, so that is our bottom limit. Push that. The head will go up to its preset setting previous. Now if you need to change it, bring it down or take it up, you would push a Y+ to take it up. The blade is above the material now, so at that point I would push it to memorize it. So basically, we would pull our piece of material in, we would open our vices first, then we would clamp them. Then at that point, we would start. This is on how fast I would like to cut through the material. This is our blade speed at this point. Now the head is coming down. Once it reaches the bottom limit, the green light comes on, blade shuts off, raises up to our upper limit. Green light comes on, vise is open. We're ready to take the piece out, put another piece in, and this is semi-automatic. We're going to do an automatic cycle from start. So at this point, we would push our on key, we push our reset key, we will zero our axis for our shuttle table. At this point, page change, which is this, continue. Pixel cycle selection would be 4. At this point, it says automatic single P. This is the basic automatic simplest program to run in the circuit. So I want to put in a measurement at this point, so I would push my enter key, brings up a cursor. I would put in, say, 4 inches, 4.0. Enter. Now, how many cuts I would like. So I'm going to put 2, enter. Once you've programmed in your length and how many cuts you want, you push your enter after the cuts, the cursor disappears. Now what I'd like to do, we're going to set the machine up for the head down position and up position. So the Y- is for head down. We'll bring it down to the very bottom. At that point, I will push the decimal point, and as you can see, the blade is below the material, which is the bottom setting. I push that. The head starts to raise up to the previous up position. Now, I'd like to bring it down a little bit, so I'm going to use my Y-. And then I will set it. This is the blade above the material. After I set it, the little LED turns green. So now we're good to go. If I wanted to take it up, I would just use my Y+, and then I would use my 0 on the display here to set the upper. So I got my pieces in. I would bring my material in. So I'll open the vise, and the shuttle vise is open already. I would bring my material in, set it for a trim cut. I would close the front vise. I would close my indexing vise or shuttle vise. At that point, I've set my lower, set my upper, got my measurement, got my number of cuts I want. I would push start and the cuts. Sorry, at this point you would push clear. Then you would push start. Without pushing the clear, you saw it come up and it said end up cuts. Well, the reason was because my piece or number of cuts here equaled how many I actually did cut previous. So that's why that error came up. So So when you start a job, always push your clear. It clears and starts from the very first cut. Now that was my trim cut, and the machine started to cycle now. Again, this would be for our head descent, so on how fast I would like to actually cut through it. It shows me a little display here. This is for my blade speed. Shows us here. This Y here is basically kind of the descent on where the head is in position. It's not a feed rate, it's just showing you basically where the head's Y position is at that point. So where we set it basically is down at the 0% or 0 Y, so now it's going back up to its upper position. So that would be my first cut. This would be my second cut coming up. Turn it up just for testing purposes. At this point, so we've done our trim cut and we've got our two pieces that we wanted at 4 inches. I push reset, it says end of cuts, so it knows that it did my 2 cuts already. If I'd like to do the same job over, I would push my clear, start, it would carry on with the same cycle. If I want to change a different dimension here, I would push my enter, brings up the cursor. Now I'll go with 2 inches there, enter. Now I want 4 of those, enter. Now we're good to go. As long as it's the same material, same height, all that good stuff, then you're ready to go. So you push your clear, start, and that's we'll continue on with the next job you put in. Our next demonstration will be to cut a queue, meaning that you can cut multiple jobs out of the same piece of material with different lengths. So the first thing, as you can see, we're an automatic single P. Well, single program that we already went through. So to get our continuous cycle, we would push run program. We would push number 3 key, cutting cycle. Then we would push number 3 again for continuous cycle. So once we have continuous and the cursor is on number 3, we push run program. Now, this is where we're going to program in our job. So first off, we go to number 1, programs. So 0 is within the program, but 0 is not used. So the cursor is on number 1, so I would push enter. Now it goes to the second, which is your measurement. So at this point I want to put in 2 inches. You don't have to put the decimal, you can just put 2, enter. Now number of cuts, I only want 2 on that as well. Now push enter. At this point we go to job number 2. So we enter, takes us to our measurement, and we'll go with 3 here, enter, and we'll go. If you want to, basically you just push enter, okay? Now we're on job 3, and we'll go enter, and basically we'll go with 1 inch, and then enter, and I want 3 of those this time, so enter. Now once we have our jobs programmed into the program section, we push our run program. Then we're going to go to sequence, which is number 2. You push number 2. 1, we got sequences 10 and less, and then number 2 sequences is 10 and greater, up to 100. So at this point, I'm going to push number 1 and sequence, and then over here is going to be our program. Sequence position. Now at this point, that's number 1. Now I can cut job 2 or I can cut job 3 first and then end up with job 1 at the last. It all depends on how you'd like to run it. At this point, sequence 1, I'm going to put 1. We're just going to follow 1, 2, 3. So then at this point, that'd be job or sequence 2, and this will be job number 2. Enter. Sequence 3, which will be in the process. I push enter, and we'll go with 3. So now at that point, we've already programmed in our 3 jobs. Now we're putting them in queue to run consecutively, but of course out of 1 piece of material. So then I'll push my run program, run program, run program. At this point, I push my clear. So now, what we programmed in is program 1, our measurement of 2 inches, and a number of cuts. So the next thing that we would do, we are going to set our height again for the bottom position and the upper position. So at this point, we're going to set down, and that will be the bottom position. Green light comes on. Let's memorize that. It goes up to its preset height that it was. I want to go up a little higher this time, so we'll go this way, and then we'll push R0. That memorizes our top. At this point, both clamps are closed. I'm going to open now. When the green LED is off on your vices, that means it's open. So at this point, I would bring my material in for my trim cut. I would push close the front vise, and then I would close the shuttle vise. Now, our next step is, basically we will start it. Automatic in execution, so that means the jaw is running, my shuttle's going back, we're doing our first trim cut. Again, this will be to determine on how fast we want to cut through our material. This is our blade speed. This is our amperage draw. Basically, I can set this amperage, and what it does, this looks for, when you're cutting through the material, it's looking the draw of that motor. So you can set it, if the motor draws 10 amps, and you set it for, say, 8 amps, if the blade's getting dull and it reaches 8 amps, what it will do is basically stop speeding the machine, and if it sits there long enough, it will come up with a blade head jammed alarm. So then it'll be time to change your blade. If I want to see what else is going on here, I can use this button. That's total time, running time. This is total time per cut. Then I go back to here. This is where I got my feed set. Now, again, it's just a display, or my blade speed is 132. My head position coming down is keeping track of where it is. At that point, it's just a value that it counts up and down. So right now, we're still on program 1. This should be our second cut. Now at this point, it just switched to program 2, measurement 3, and then the number of cuts is what we wanted. So this is our second job within our sequence or queue. Now keep in mind, it has to be out of the same material. If you got a long bar, 10 feet, and you want these number of pieces, you can't change the bar or the material mid-cycle and then carry on with it. It doesn't quite work that way.